pledge, we follow up on that pledge. Oh, you said the waiting times would reduce by 30 minutes. What's happening? Yeah. That's the summary of what we do.
Well, Sema, I mean, naongea Kiswahili, but unfortunately not everyone would be able to. Let me start by saying, why the name Sema? Why Kiswahili before we go any further?
Okay, because when you look at East Africa, it's a language that cuts across Uganda, Tanzania. So we thought, well, it means it will cut across the different countries in East Africa. So that's why Sema came up. And so if people don't speak, yeah.
That is a very good point that you bring. And moving from Elijah to a point perspective, I mean, your innovation is probably something that a lot of the bodies are afraid of, I can say. Because like very few people want to be reviewed. I mean, what are some of the milestones you've achieved so far with SEMA that you can say, hey, I'm proud, I think we've been able to cause this impact or this change in the society?
Okay, great. Yes, very many people are afraid when we initially try to go to them. Yes. They think, okay, we're here to watch them and then publicize the negative aspects. Yeah. But so far we've been at about 53 government institutions. So we mainly work with the justice, law and order sector, where we are at NIRA, Uganda Police, URSB, immigration officers, and the judiciary. We are also at KCC health centers in 4 different regions, so that has been really good for us. It's only last year that we scaled up to the northern region, the western, central, and the eastern region. Yeah. So, and also we've had over 200,000 citizens use our feedback devices to give feedback. Yeah. We've also seen waiting times reduce by 60% at the institutions where we are at, and the satisfaction levels have gone up by 70%. We also are in Kenya recently. So those are some of our milestones, and we are proud of that because we started at only 7 offices, and now we are at 53. Including municipal offices in Mukono, in Jinja, in Tebe as well.
Now you're international. I mean, you're in Kenya. You're crossing the boundaries, which is, I think, really amazing. Yeah. And I'm curious in terms of how you convince people to give that feedback. So, are they giving it? Do they come and do you have a sit down, or do they do it on an application? How does it work?
Okay, thank you. We have 4 ways in which you can give feedback. We've got a feedback device with smiley faces like the ones at the airports. Okay. So we use the WhatsApp emojis. Yeah. So you can give your feedback based on very good to very bad. Yeah. This information goes to a dashboard. Well, of course, sometimes not everyone wants to press the feedback devices. So we also have one-on-one conversations. We use trained data collectors from technical institutions like universities, YMCA, at the different regions in the different districts. So you can explain further, I pressed very bad because of X, Y, and Z. Exactly. Then we've got a USSD code, which you can text, give your feedback. We've also got a toll-free line, so you can also call and give your feedback. Yeah. So at the end of the month, we gather information from all the 4 sources and summarize it in a monthly report that we now give back to the institution. Yes, have a sit down with them and say, well, this didn't work, this worked, because we get both positive and negative feedback. Yeah. And on a quarterly basis, of course, we get them to make a pledge. Okay, so what are you willing to do about this? How do you want to change? So when they make a pledge, we give them a few weeks and then go back and how far are you going with this?
Yeah, exactly. With the pledge that you made.
Yeah. Then if there are challenges, then on a quarterly basis, we go to the institutions. Like for police, we'll go to Naguru. KCCA, we'll go to the KCCA headquarters and then talk to management and say, well, they want to change, but X, Y, and Z is not happening. Can you commit to this? So that's how we envision the change happens.
Wow. Okay, and I'll be letting you go soon, but I just wanted to find out, attending today, what are you hoping to gain? What are you hoping to benefit by being here today?
Okay. Well, I hope of course, to tell people what we do, encourage people to give feedback because it matters. Yeah. And then also know what other innovators are doing out there and hopefully learn from them and you never know how we can forge partnerships ahead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I think what you're doing is really amazing. Thank you. You're being a watchdog in the society,
Exactly,
in the community.
yeah.
And our Solutions Now Africa, we are journalists, so we are also watchdogs in a way. But I invite you to watchdog the watchdogs. Maybe we also
Sure.
need...
Most definitely.
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you so very much.
Okay,
I'll
thank
let you get back to your station. We are continuing with these amazing conversations and innovations. You can be a part of that conversation on our social media platforms, on all social media platforms. Go out there, tell us about these innovations. Tell us if you have used them before. What are you enjoying? What do you maybe think they can improve? And so much more. It is Innovations Fireplace here at MCI Hub, powered by Conrad Adunwa, Steve Tung. And this is Solutions Now Africa with Kanan Arinda. Hello and welcome.
I'm not Julius.
Yes, Julius. Nice to have you, Julius. You can tell us about Famunera and what you do.
Famunera is a digital marketplace.
Yeah.
We actually run Uganda's biggest and most trusted digital food export marketplace.
Export, okay.
Yeah. So Famunera simply enables food aggregators like cooperatives and exporters to independently conduct digital grower profiling, management, traceability
of their products and the
from the farmer
trade
to the export market.
Okay.
Then also encourage their outgrowers to source quality inputs right from Famunera marketplace, and also help them secure reliable export markets from verified global food importers.
Okay, so Julius, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear from what you're telling me is you're trying to simplify things for the traders and cutting off all these expensive middlemen that are usually making the process longer and more expensive. So walk me through the process. If I have my farm and I want to export, how do I contact Famunera? How do I gain and benefit?
Yeah. So, well, we have three channels. The best channel for the exporter, who probably is tech savvy a little bit, would be the web application.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which you can easily use on your mobile phone, desktop, laptop, tab. Then, for the actual farmer who may need the inputs, seeds, fertilizers, the best will be the USSD code channel, which we also have, *284 *77#.
Yeah.
Then also via the support customer helpline. That are two for that person.
For the
farmer.
The options for them.
Yeah. Then for this exporter, obviously the web application. So those are the three channels that.
And why farming? Like why did you choose specifically farming?
Supporting the ecosystem of agriculture, specifically exports. You notice, according to McKinsey and company, the report is drawn by in states that Africa alone exports at the moment up to exports agricultural products, food and agricultural products,
farm products,
worth 35 to 40 billion US dollars. And we import the same food and agriculture produce or products worth 45 to 50 billion.
So that we're importing more than we are exporting.
Yet we have everything, the best climate and the best soils and everything. However, Famunera is here to say, look,
we can change the trend.
We should be able to have it the other way around and be able to export more from Africa than we import because we have that leverage. And so this is the agenda as to why we are actually having food exporters and aggregators at the core of our blockchain infrastructure. So since 2016, so far, we've been able to to reach over 150,000 smallholder farmers, been able to support 100 agribusinesses across the value chain, and also created over 5,000 indirect jobs across the entire agriculture value chain.
Wow.
And in the next 3 years, our plan is to be able to reach and serve up to 1.5 million smallholder farmers, then be able to support up to 1,000 agribusinesses, especially the food exporters and aggregators, yeah, and also be able to create over 75,000 direct jobs across the entire agriculture value chain.
Well,
And
Julius, you started with a statement that really stands out. You say right now you are the biggest in the export, online export industry. I just want to find out, how did you make it there? What stands out about Famunera that gave you such a pace to reach where you are right now?
well, our business model has a journey that is not that we started off where we are now.
Okay.
Phase 1, 2016, 2019, farmers getting access directly to suppliers of quality and affordable inputs.
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
Through Famunera.
they contact them directly. Afterwards, they requested that if we can do for them last mile delivery.
Okay.
I'm in Nuoya, I'm in Gulu. I would love not to come to Kampala. However much I've known where to get them, the quality inputs, but can you be able to help me deliver? So between 2019 to 2021, end of 2021, we were doing last mile delivery and providing e-advisory. Now, 2022, and upwards, we're hitting in for supporting food exporters do it in the global market.
Okay,
Yeah.
That sounds like a very wonderful systematic plan. Let me ask you one of those questions we normally receive at family gatherings, where they ask you, what's your 10-year plan from now?
Yeah, so 10-year plan now, number one, we should be able to close as a unicorn, agritech in Africa.
Could you break that down for someone that is not into the jargon of business and tech?
So our scalability plan is simple and clear. We are, so far, have hit Zimbabwean market with our digital infrastructure. And the next market we're hitting is Kenya and Nigeria. So what we're doing is simple. You are in Kenya, you in Zimbabwe, and you owning probably a good market share for input supply as an input supplier business down there. We provide our digital infrastructure because we want to make sure you can distribute them through our blockchain infrastructure and then get those inputs down to the farmers. And so once you onboard your products, you're already also attracting exporters who are using the infrastructure to do export marketing and traceability. So it's simple that you're going to be able to market our brand down on the local market.
Absolutely.
And that's how quick and fast we're going to be able to close out Africa.
Wow.
I mean, between now and 10 years, we shall be in really a quite number of
I have no doubt whatsoever. I mean, everything you've said seems very well planned. You seem very well organized, and the vision is clear. So I will be letting you go, but just before that, maybe you can share with us, and I'll give you an opportunity to actually look into the camera and look at the people that are watching right now and tell them, what do you want them to remember about Famunera right now before you leave?
Well, the people out there, I would love you to remember that Famunera came into the space of food and agriculture and left a mark, made sure that we have our farmers increase their livelihoods by actually boosting their income levels, making sure we streamline the food and agriculture sector in terms of traceability for exporters, and also be able to actually have our own locally founded brand that's actually going to be able to turn out into a unicorn for the first time here in Uganda in this space. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That was Julius from Famunera. I look forward to a time when Jambula will be on high demand in Europe, the way we demand for complex and the likes here in Africa. It is Kane Arinda for Solutions Now Africa. We'll be taking a break. When we are back, the conversation continues here at Innovation Fireplace. You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio. You're listening to AMCI Radio, the coolest internet radio. AMCI Radio for African Voices.
Amazing. We are the radio for the African voice, and of course, we hold so much pride in that particular one because we amplify African communities in that particular regard. We're still going on with conversations, of course, around innovation, in fireplaces, and we are so much delighted to be part of, the hosts of this particular one. Welcome back from that conversation that you had with Kane and Alinda straight from the Solutions Now studio. But of course, we're definitely getting into this particular one with one of the innovators, that is showcasing today, and that is a gentleman from Flip. I'll definitely let him introduce himself, and then we get into this amazing conversation because I just found out that they're definitely doing quite incredible work in that particular regard. Good afternoon, Sebo.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very well. How are you doing?
Maybe for starters, someone would love to understand who are we talking to?
So my name is Abu Musuza. Everyone calls me Abu. That's what I've been going. But Abu Musuza is my name.
Abu.
I founded and I am the CEO at Flip Africa.
Flip Africa. When someone hears flip, it's like flipping a coin and, maybe changing a narrative, changing, a one way of looking at things. Why flip and probably what's the background of flip?
So that's a very good question. That's a very good point to start. Rarely do I start conversations around that. And the reason why we called it Flip is particularly because we wanted to change the narrative around work.
Amazing.
Because right now, you know how the narrative goes. You finish university and then you're going to work for 3 years without finding
and
work.
Look for a job.
And even in many instances, never find work. And again, it's based on how we've defined what work is, what a job is. What we understand as a job is someone who has an 8-to-5 job. Right?
Exactly.
But there's only a 15% chance, 15%, that you're going to find an 8-to-5 job, right, in this Ugandan economy of ours. And so we wanted to flip that narrative, flip that definition of work, because 85% of African youth end up in the gig economy. Naturally, because they can't find a full-time job, they end up in the gig economy. So the gig economy, while in many parts of the world is defined as the future of work, we have been with it for a very long time.
I have a gig guru here. Shout out to you to Ken and Alinda. He's a man full of gigs everywhere, anytime, any day. But talking about the gig economy, should we say that it has been sort of a solution to unemployment, that young people are actually finding an alternative way of being employed, or it's just actually a problem also?
Yeah, so we end up in gigs simply because we never found an 8-to-5 job, right? We've been socialized to say you graduate from school, you find an 8-to-5 job, but if you don't find it, then you actually end up getting into a gig because I couldn't find one. But the gig economy is a driver of African economies. That's where most money is made. That's where most opportunities are.
Is it so much lucrative?
It is super lucrative. Some people have estimated in books that I've read that it stretches to as much as $800 billion in Africa alone. Now, why is it a problem? It's because the gig economy is not regulated. Right.
Looking at the nature of the gig economy and how, like you said, someone cannot be at an 8-to-5 job, do you think as a student would definitely embrace the gig economy as early as, first year or even still in the secondary school?
And that's the beauty of a gig economy, is that you can begin to do it, whenever you feel like doing it. And our intention is to actually make it available, accessible, and to basically bring some sort of order. Because, the problem is that, one, how do you find a gig? It's a friend who tells you about a gig that exists, which means it's very irregular, right? There's no method, right? No one goes and advertises a gig in a newspaper. Or, so where do you find it?
It's just abrupt.
Really so what Flip is doing is saying, if you have a gig, go and post it on the Flip platform, right? So that we make it visible across the African continent. Now, on the other hand, we're asking young people, if you're interested, in finding gigs and you have the skills, then create a profile on Flip.
Isn't it a long process for me to be able to actually tap into my next gig? If someone, let's say, just wakes up today, and says, I really need maybe a band. to actually come and present on this party. It is actually happening right there on that very day. It's when they need the band. Isn't it a long process than just making a mere call to a friend who actually owns a band?
No, when fully developed, our platform will basically be a platform that works with notifications, right? So for as long as I come on the platform and say I'm looking for someone, or I'm looking for a band, as soon as the job is posted, right, the algorithm in the platform begins to send alerts.
Does it send it to immediately to people who are into that particular category, or to everyone?
Yes, to people who are in that particular category, right? So you can filter, right, the words and say, you know what, this is my skill and I'm interested only in work in this skill. You can even filter it down to geography. I'm interested in band gigs in Tinder, right? So it will put in Tinder, Nakawa, like proximal areas, and not show you gigs in Nansana,
Nakasongola,
much further places. So we've basically built a platform that is very malleable that will allow you to basically find work. And what we want to do is flip that narrative of finding work takes 2 to 3 years to it's as simple as pulling out my phone, flipping the app, and I can see all the work that's available.
I think this is one of the most beautiful innovations that I've actually encountered. Just because looking at how things are really done, with so much stress looking for service providers, we find a lot of stress looking for jobs at the end of the day as young people. So it actually cuts across all sides. To those looking for service providers, and to those that are
for work.
Exactly.
But that's only one half of it. The other half of it is payment. You know how payment is. You've done gigs.
Before we get into the payment model, at the end of the day, I really want to understand, Abu. Now, how does this really work? When I get to Flip, do I need to create a profile in areas of my interest? Do I need to put all my CV, my maybe portfolio, and try to impress people?
Yeah. So number one is create a profile on Flip. Tell us what you're really good at. And if you have experience in the past.
Am I limited to different things?
No. You can put whatever. You can put I'm a football coach. Whatever it is. In fact, recently someone came and said, I am really qualified in this. That's why but I have done so much work in this other side. How do I reconcile the few? We've created a section, on, things I'm proud of, awards, and stuff like that, where you put things that you can even say, I've climbed, Mount Elgon. You never know that the next guy who's looking for a gig is a mountain climber. What's he going to say? We have something in common, right? So we allow you to basically express yourself. Your talent is not limited to what you can do.
Exactly.
It's limited. It's also expanded into your attitude. I can tell what kind of worker you are by your co-curricular activities. If you're a hiker, I can tell that you're a guy who likes to take on challenges. Right? So create your profile. Just tell us everything about yourself. You have a space where you can put your CV if you want, but we think CVs are very old-fashioned things.
Exactly.
We really want to know that, who have you worked for? And say, I've worked for these guys.
Achievements and awards.
Yes. And then what we do is we'll call your references. And say, you ask this guy, he'll tell you about me, right? So those references, when they come in, we ask them to rate you in 4 things. The quality of work that you did for them, the timeliness within which you did the work, your level of professionalism, and your level of integrity, right? Those are the 4 things that everyone on Flip is rated
is looking for.
Whenever you do a gig. Meaning that the next guy who's coming to look for a band, right? And it puts in that job. By the way, when they put on a job, it doesn't only alert you that there's a job, it alerts me who has posted the job that there's a guy who you should look at.
That was maybe my next question. It was my next question.
Yeah.
Why is it that not, or maybe it's actually happening, when someone inserts in a job opportunity, a gig opportunity, why don't you bring I would say, samples of people?
The platform automatically, as soon as your job goes live.
So it goes through.
The system is going to pick everyone who's relevant to that, right? And pin them. That's the reason why you create a profile, right? So think of it like Facebook. People you may know.
Exactly.
Section of people you may know.
Yeah.
That's how we are going to plot work, right? So it takes you, right, and says, take a look at this guy and pins it on the hirer's profile and say, here are people that we've selected for you that are really good for your job, right? Meanwhile, you, the talent who is, who owns
you're also notified.
It also notifies you of the 10,000 people who are looking for someone to do a band, right? And pins it on your profile. So that's why we say finding work should be as simple as opening your phone and seeing the 10,000 accounting opportunities.
Well, this drives me towards something that is really incredible. You don't need to be maybe an expert to start an innovation. You just look at a challenge and maybe get into it and try to solve it at the end of the day. I'm really so much overwhelmed by what Flip is definitely doing. And I really want to understand now the payment bit of it. The payment bit of it. Because in the gig world, you find out, there are a lot of different, structures. There's a lot of bureaucracy. Someone, connects you to maybe a service provider. They need maybe half of your pay. Someone at the other side also becomes a blocker. You understand? So but before you know it, someone who negotiated for 1 million shillings, you're going away home with maybe 3,000 shillings because there are a lot of different parties, connected to that particular one. How is Flip changing the narrative?
So the first thing that happens is when you create a profile on Flip, you get an e-wallet automatically. Unpaid for, you get an e-wallet.
How does the e-wallet now operate?
So the e-wallet is, we pay you through the e-wallet, right? So now let's go back to the process.
Now who pays? I want to understand.
So that's why I'm going back to the process, right?
Exactly.
So I come and I post a job. We're going with the band, and say, hey, I need someone to do an MC or a band. I'm paying 1 million shillings, for this case, right? For the example. What Flip is going to require me, who is posting the job, is to deposit 1 million shillings on what they call an escrow account. Now, an escrow account is basically an account that is held by Flip, but is between you, the person who's hiring, and the band guy who is going to do the gig. They haven't been paid, but their payment has been secured before they show up for the work, right?
It's like booking fee just in case you're interested.
Full fee. Put it on Flip's escrow account. Because if you don't put it on Flip's escrow account, you can't hire talent on Flip. But if you fail to find talent on Flip, or if the guy who's supposed to do the gig doesn't show up, you're entitled to a full refund, right? The whole point of doing that is to eliminate this whole drama of, you're supposed to pay me 1 million, now you've paid me 300,000, you tell me to come back next week, which ends up into next year. We don't want our talent to go through that, right? So as long as you do the work...
Where does Flip now benefit? Because in that process, I don't see that Flip takes 5%.
Yes, so Flip takes 10%. So let's say that the band has come, right, and has delivered the performance.
The service,
right?
Very well.
So then the person who hired the band says, the band showed up, they did their work. The system, not someone from the system automatically triggers payments that will move the money from the escrow to your e-wallet, minus 10%. So Flip charges you 10% for the jobs that you find on the platform. But you will be paid fully and on time.
So in other words, when I receive, because this is where I get now the confusion.
Yes.
In other words, if 1 million shillings is deposited,
yes,
and as the service provider, I receive 1 million shillings.
Yes.
So it is, it is actually on my side to actually pay back Flip 10%.
It will, yes, it is on your side. So essentially, you will get paid 900,000. The 100K is the fees for basically.
So that is that is actually something that you you have consent about between you and someone being paid.
And when you're signing up on Flip, there are terms and conditions. One of it is, and we don't do like these terms and conditions like that are very fine print. And, it is, and in fact, when you're filling the form, we ask you, are you fine with it? Because if you're not, then you really can't. But the services that we provide for that 10%. Right? It's incredible. You will never, ever have to get a half payment.
Exactly.
It's always a full payment. And actually, that escrow account, right? Even I, don't manipulate it. It's a system. It's separate from Flip's operation account. It's completely separate, right? So we basically charge 10%, and then the person, takes 90% at home. But the whole point is, how can we get them into work frequently? Right, to the point where gigs are just, you get visibility of all the gigs that exist, right? If you're an accountant, you will see the 10,000 small businesses that want to file their taxes for July, and they're looking for someone, and each of them will tell you where they are located, how much they're paying, and you choose which one you're willing to pay. The other important thing is we allow you to book multiple gigs, right?
Well, what do you mean by booking multiple gigs?
That means that if Flip came and said, hey, I need to file my taxes for June, right? I need them to be filed by the 30th of June. Right? But then another company comes and says, hey, I need my taxes filed by the 7th of July, right? As you're doing the Flip gig, you can book for the other gig. Meaning your transition time between gigs is shorter.
It's shorter.
You move from this gig to the next gig, to the other gig, to the other gig. Continuity in finding work, that value is the reason why we are basically just making sure that we overwhelm you with the amount of work, and you choose which one you want to do and which one you don't want to do.
Amazing. Maybe lastly that I will ask, Abu, is, Flip is not concerned about how many gigs you get as an individual and how many gigs you don't get. It goes back to your your credibility as an individual, what speaks of you, and all those things. Because I would actually assume that if someone really has a lot of gigs back to back, it's of a disadvantage to the other people that are in the same line of duty with them. So can someone be booked more than 5 times within a space of 1 month?
So that is dependent on how
good you are,
the level of urgency, right? So for example, if I wanted my taxes filed by the 30th of this month, right? But I see someone is, so we'll give you the visibility of how someone is booked, right? Meaning that if I need my work done by the end of the week and I see you still have another gig happening, I don't want to hire you. I want to find someone who's available, who's free, who will show up now. Right?
So when you talk about the taxes being filed in there, now we're talking about work that is not, does not exceed like 1 day. For example, an MC is going to do a wedding, and that is off the grid. The following day, someone needs an MC. Does that create also traffic that you are going to show that maybe someone was busy yesterday, they cannot do this kind of work?
So ultimately, when we finally develop the platform fully, it will come with a calendar that shows a person's engagement.
Someone was booked yesterday.
Yes. Because there are people who will try and book this gig, but then hand it to a friend. So the friend, we don't want that. If you're booked for the gig, you have to do the gig.
How about it's for the following day? Where
if it is for the following day, you
can
book that gig. It is okay. Ultimately, the platform is designed to ensure that those who are hiring get the best of talent.
So in other words, that calendar will also show my client that, look at this guy.
Yeah.
He's frequently booked, which means he's good.
Which means he's good. Look at his ratings, look at his bookings, look at his... So ultimately, the system is designed to help the clients find the best talent, but it also is designed to help talent become better talent, right? How do you improve your ratings? How do you, So that's we are basically creating this universe, and in the future we'll also actually create training programs, right? That if we see that clients are consistently rating you low on professionalism, then we'll recommend that you take, a course on how to act professionally in the workplace, and the goal is to help you raise your ratings.
Wow, I think this is really very nice at the end of the day. Can't I maybe register my work that I've done off Flip? In other words, if someone books me for an event to do, and this was not through Flip, can't I register that and Flip database register that as a gig being booked?
No, we cannot rate it on, we cannot give it a rating per se. The only work that we rate on the platform is the work that has been done on the platform. But you can still enter it, in your profile and say, hey, remember that section of things I've accomplished and kind of, you can still put it there, and still people will view your profile and say, hey, I see you've done other gigs, off of the platform, right? So, but the whole point is we want to create a very tight-knit platform of trust that says that, because ultimately the people who hire you don't have a relation to you. It's just the guy who needs a job done. You come, you do it very well. He's going to tell everyone else through Flip that this guy is incredible.
Exactly.
And I cannot manipulate the ratings. I can't even log in. Me, the owner of the platform, I can't log in. The system has been designed that it's only the person who has hired you that can rate you.
Amazing. How does someone get to Flip? Maybe that will be our last
so you just go to www.
Because I just want to try it right out, straight up.
So for now, we are still a web application. Right? So you go to a website, www.flipafrica.app, short for application, like mobile app, flipafrica.app. Then it will basically just bring a screen, and then you can get a feel around, right? Find work, you can see the jobs that are available. You can view without signing in. Find talent, you can see the talent that's available. You can see the shot. If you want to see the details of either talent or the jobs, then you have to create a profile, and you can see, what Spear Motors is looking for, what, And everyone is looking for someone to do a job for them short term. We even have some people who come to us, and they're looking for full-time hire. because we've been very good at finding them very good talent, they're like, can you find me a full-time accountant? Those jobs are also available if you're interested in them.
Amazing. We'll definitely let you go, Abu, but I think that has been a very wonderful discussion that we had about Flip. For those of you who are into the gig economy, I think this is, for you. Mans like Keenan, Linda, Tracy, mans like, our amazing poet here, Ishak Nsuga. I think this is one for you at the end of the day. So sign up for Flip, and you will definitely not be jobless. You will have back-to-back employment and work to do at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Abu. I will definitely appreciate the work that you're doing, most especially in bridging the unemployment gap here in Uganda.
Thank you for hosting me.
Exactly. I will definitely be taking a short breather. We'll be returning back with conversations around, innovation fireplaces as we go ahead to understand quite a number of different other things happening in this particular regard. Good afternoon.
I guess this is what it feels like when a child of the Most High God hits the floor. Festival. This darkness, man, it breaks the bones. I feel like a grape in a wine press for sure. Ebizibu bikukono tibulo, ngotakatimo katonda tekewe njaulo. Amazima ngotukiro kulimitiyo, ngoula kukatono kuumame taulo. But you remember that your father in heaven promised to never forsake or never leave his people. So you get up on your feet and give thanks, cause you're walking through the valley, but you feel no evil. This is where we are. I see death on a daily now. Kanaka said I can see Butika kusengesia. Darkness in the area. Omulabe ya kutakiria kwenye desia. Taka kuona kupoliferia. Na ewa maitentoka tunda ya kusengesia. You remember that your father in heaven promised to never forsake or never leave his people. So you get up on your feet and give thanks, cause you're walking through the valley, but you feel no evil. Kubango wange gwenina ya wangu la magombe. Ndi mugumu manyi ndi muwangu zino kuchirawo sirilemwa. Ndi mugumu kubango wange gwenina ya wangu la magombe. Ndi mugumu manyi ndi muwangu zino kuchirawo sirilemwa. Kubango wange gwenina ya wangu la magombe. Ndi mugumu manyi ndi muwangu zino kuchirawo sirilemwa.